All right, it's Tiny Housinʼ. It's volume 11. Another brutal day. Brutal day. It's just turning into a brutal week. And the house is a little untidy. More than I want it to be, but it's not horrible. I'm just winging it right now, and I'm gonna take a chill pill, sit down for a minute, and tell you how it all went today. I just got home a little bit, I don't even know, the bike rides. Today was one of those days where I think God is telling me that this isn't going to be sustainable, what I'm doing right now. And I knew that. It's not like this isn't like a news flash or a news bulletin, of course. I knew this was going to be a rough couple of weeks, maybe a month, the first month, because I'm so far away from the job. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the camera and I'm going to answer some email or some comments. I'm going to respond to your comments and just give you a little update on what's going on today. Not too much. I don't plan on leaving the house to go like grocery shopping or anything. The only thing I've got, a couple of inner tubes came from Amazon today. Make sure I got that. I got to do some bike maintenance tonight. A little bit of problematic stuff today. But mostly it was the weather. Just bad weather again. And so I got to take a chill pill for a minute, sit, relax, get my bearings, and then I'll plug in and I'll start responding to some of your comments and just give you a quick little update. I don't have the energy to do much tonight, but I can do a video. What's going on? It's your boy Adam, back at you. It was Tiny Housinʼ, volume 11. I don't know how many days I've actually been here. That's why I'm not counting them anymore. My mind is too shot out from all the crazy stuff going on. I'm not allowed to really swear in the first 2 minutes of a YouTube video. I guess that messes with the algorithm. After 2 minutes, good to go. So I gotta hold my mouth for at least 2 minutes before I let her rip. Let's see. After today's crazy bicycle ride, I am at 367.4 miles for the year. That was towards my 2,000 mile goal. And I have 1,632.6 miles left. I might be at a quarter of my goal in less than 2 months. But, anything can happen. I might get a quarter of the way there at the end of the month and then maybe find a way to get a car and poof, no more miles for a while. Who knows? Today, so it seems like almost every day, somehow the ride gets worse every day this week. I thought 2 days ago with the crazy rain that was going to be the worst. No, not even close. I would totally go back and I would take the rain from the other day and get soaking wet over today's ride in the wind. It was like, it was frigid. Number one, it was about 40 degrees when I left, and I really don't even know what the wind chill was when you factor that in. It was pretty cold. And the headwind, it was a headwind the entire ride. The entire ride from the moment I clicked into my pedals to the moment I locked it up. And the wind was strong wind today. And it was like the exact angle. It was like the exact angle. The wind, it just somehow God knew to direct the wind at the exact angle so that no matter which way I zigged or zagged on my way into work, the wind is still blowing straight into my face and pushing me backwards the whole way. It took an extra half hour to get to work because the wind was so bad today. half an hour. It was almost 2 hours to get to work today. It was crazy. It was slow. I was struggling the whole entire ride. Plus, between the wind is bad enough, but when you combine it with the cold air stops me dead in my tracks. I am from the Northeast, Rochester, New York, Jamestown, New York, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I spent most of my life in those three places. The wind, even in Danbury, Connecticut, when I was in federal prison, the outside track, whenever it would be cold and windy outside, cut me right out. I was a complete basket case on the cold, windy days. Cold cripples me. Everybody in Texas keeps telling me about how the 95-degree heat is going to cripple me. And I'm like, you have no freaking idea. Like, I can go out and do things when it's 95 degrees out. I mean, it may not be... When you're riding a bicycle, you're getting airflow, and it's not as bad as people think it is. But when you're... when it's below 40 degrees, oh man, it's the colder it gets, the more I'm crippled. Like, I cannot handle the cold. Here's the thing, man. You see people moving to Florida all the time when they get old. When the biggest complaint people have about driving around Florida is all the gray hairs on the road, keeping the traffic slow. You don't see gray hairs moving to New York, do ya? They all move to Florida when they get old. There's a reason for that. I can't take the cold anymore, man. It is. Oh, I can't stand it. It kills me. It slows me down. Once it's cold, once it's below 50 degrees, I'm just spinning the pedals at this point. I'm not trying to go fast. I'm putting my head down and just trying to get to work. I don't even want to be out there. It's not that I don't enjoy biking. And I even enjoyed riding into work today to a degree because I'm on my bike and it's just fun to do. But man, the frigid air, cold kills. Cold, oh my goodness, I can't take the cold anymore. I moved to a good place for that. But yeah, I mean, I'm from the Northeast. I can handle the cold to a degree. And, you know, it's certainly better than being in Jamestown where it's like 20 degrees with a 6-degree wind chill right now. So I'm not, that is a whole nother level. And it will stay so cold in Jamestown that the accumulated snow won't melt for 2 months. It'll just keep piling up and piling up and piling up every time it snows, and it'll never melt. Here in Houston, we got snow once, and 2 days later it melted. This winter I'm talking about. So anyway, it was an extra half an hour to get to work. I still ended up 10 minutes early. Had enough time to get changed and everything into my work clothes, but I didn't get to have breakfast, nothing. I just had to jump right into it. And I try to give myself enough time to get breakfast, chillax for a minute, and just ease into the day. No, today it was straight to work. And this one person at the job copped me an attitude as soon as I walked in the door. And I'm like, oh, don't even start with this. There's one person at the job. I get along with everybody at this place. Everybody's great, friendly. It's a good atmosphere. I could have done so much worse in the job lottery here. I'm just saying, like, I could have been surrounded by dirtbags at a horrible place. But needless to say, there's always going to be someone at work. And in this case, I got copped a little bit of attitude when I walked in the door. Adam, what time were you supposed to be here today? And I'm like, 8:30. And it's 8:20 right now. And she's like, oh. Like, it was almost like she was waiting to pounce. Like, I think this person gets, is it a power trip or something like that? You know, you got like, I don't know. I don't want to say too much, but I get along with everybody there. And even this person I get along with on more than half the time. We get along just fine. But I do notice things, and there's a little bit of a ridiculous, like, power trip kind of attitude that gets copped around, taken a little too far at times. And nobody else at the place acts like that, whether they're in charge or not. And so it gets on my nerves, especially when it happens right after this miserable ride that took me an extra half hour to get there, and 2 steps in the door, I'm getting an attitude. And here's the thing. It's like, I'm only sharing it with you because I don't even care. I'm home. I don't give a shit about this anymore. I'm just sharing it with you. And I'm just you're seeing what I went through at the time. I've dealt with much worse. I worked in a prison kitchen, okay, in a fucking prison. So there's nothing that anybody can say to me at some dumbass job that I'm ever going to give a fuck about at this point. You think anybody can intimidate me at work after I spent 14 months working in a fucking prison kitchen and dealing with the shit? Imagine the shit that you would deal with in a place like that. Like, just the wow. I'm not even going to go. That's a story for another video. Stay tuned. But I worked in a prison kitchen for 14 months. Nobody will. That's one thing that I gained from working in the prison kitchen, is that nobody is ever going to be able to say anything or do anything to me at a job that would either intimidate me or that I'm going to give a fuck about at all. Like, there's no possible, like, there's nothing that anybody could ever do at work that'll be worse than the shit I dealt with there. Can't even, like, you couldn't even, no. No. But needless to say, there were just a lot of signs that I don't think God wants me to continue down this path that I'm on. It was just like a ridiculous number of hardships, I guess, problems, signs and wonders, just to put it lightly. It's just, this is kind of how things start to happen when God wants me to take a different direction. I don't know what the direction's going to be. I have an idea of what to do next, and I've already, even before I shot the video yesterday, in fact, even before I shot yesterday's video, I had already set my schedule for next week. So before I even went on that rant yesterday, I've already corrected my schedule for next week to accommodate what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing instead. So I don't get into that in a minute, but I'm just saying, God gave me a lot of signs. And like I've been saying, I made the choice to get as many hours as I could this week at the bakery because this move was a little chaotic. I spent money. You're always going to spend money when you move into a new place, especially when you move into a new place by yourself and you have absolutely nothing. I'm not moving stuff from a house to another house, an apartment to another apartment. I wasn't exactly moving in with absolutely zilch. There was a time I moved into an apartment in Pittsburgh and I was sleeping on the floor in a sleeping bag with I was sleeping on the floor with a sleeping bag, no pad, and I was using a backpack as a pillow. And that's how I literally had a sleeping bag, a backpack as a pillow, and like I had a computer propped up on a cardboard box and a couple of other things. And that's how I lived for about a fucking week. And then I went and got some ghetto furniture and I started to build from there. And I had some stuff stored 400 miles away. And eventually I was able to get a rental, a U-Haul or something to go up and get some of that stuff and, give it a couple of months. And I had a place to chill. I had an apartment, but I had to start from zero. I didn't even have to start from zero this time, but about as close to it. I mean, I packed whatever I could pack in a minivan and came down to Texas, and it was chaotic, and it was shit that was shoved in boxes when I was thrown out into the street to be homeless. So I didn't even really know what was in these boxes when I picked them up in Pittsburgh. It's chaos. My life has been nothing but chaos since August 12th of 2022. So, but anyway, I decided to put hours in at the bakery. It'll put money in my pocket next Friday, and it'll kind of even the score from all these trips to Target and the Amazon purchases and the things like that. It'll kind of start to even itself out. And next week I'm going to focus on some different things that should pay more. But today, the signs, today, this brutally cold and windy ride, and every time I get on this bike and go to work, it's like it's worse than the day before. Today, the one good thing, one fun thing that I did was as soon as I crossed into the woodlands, I jumped right onto the bicycle paths instead of taking the roads. The bicycle paths that go through the woodlands, they basically hug the road. They run parallel to the road. But they're windy, and they wind around trees and stuff. They're windy for no reason, really. Like, they could have made them a lot straighter. I think they just do it for like the scenery and the aesthetics of it. I don't think it's the only explanation that makes sense, because like they zig and zag and wind and wind and wind, and it's just crazy. But I think they do it. I think it's literally for decoration, because they're not really bicycle trails. What I would basically call it's fancy rich asshole sidewalks. That's what they are. Fancy rich asshole sidewalks that are bicycle friendly. They're meant for, but really what this is meant, they call them bicycle paths, but what it's actually meant, it's for some rich women to jog around and push baby strollers through the neighborhood while their husband is at work. That's what it is. These rich cunts in their yoga pants pushing the baby strollers with 2 or 3 babies in them, jogging down the fucking fancy rich asshole sidewalk to go around the neighborhood and pretend that they're out in the woods, even though they're right next to the fucking cul-de-sac and right next to the 4-lane highway that goes through the woodlands. But we got enough trees and it's windy and ziggy and zaggy, so I think they just made it zig and zag just to make it seem fancier for these fucking plastic people that live in these plastic McMansions. So, but that's what it is. But I decided to ride the bicycle trails from as soon as I got to the woodlands all the way to the job. And so because of the zigging and zagging and up and down and all these little fancy asshole bridges and stuff like that, it takes longer. If you stay on the road, it's a straight line, it's smooth pavement, you can just fly right through. But if you get on the bike path, you're doing this and that and going around and up and down and all this and that. Probably adds a couple of miles, but it slows you way down. But today, the loss of speed of being on the bike path was offset by being away from the wind. And the trees and all that kind of helped shelter me from some of that headwind. And so I was making the same speed, I was making the same time by taking the bike paths that I would have been dealing with being out on the road with the headwind just banging me in the face the whole time. And so, and just a little bit of like the variety in the scenery, and being on the bike path instead of the road, and just like, this is new, I haven't seen this before, and all that kind of stuff helped temper the aggravation that I was going through and the thoughts that were going through my head as I, struggled to get to work today. And so, but between the frigid cold, this attitude at work all day, and it was just nonstop. And I feel like I get singled out at this place a lot. Like, this person is always like criticizing me and like copping me a tood, but like other people there, that it doesn't happen to other people there. So, and it's only one person, and I don't even dislike this person. It's just, it's like you, like, here, I'm looking in my pockets right now. See, it's look in my desk drawer over here. I looked through these boxes the other day, and turns out I got no fucks to give anybody. I could fit all the stuff I brought to this place in a minivan, and turns out there wasn't any room left in the minivan for me to bring some fucks to give about anything. So, I mean, you cop me a fucking attitude all you want, but it's not going to change anything. It's not going to work. You attract more bees with honey than vinegar. And, you know, we're just going to leave it there. But between the frigid cold, this attitude at work, and just other things, and the ride home, I'll get there in a second, but just all these things are just, it feels like God is just telling me that this is all wrong right now. You got to change. You got to do a different thing. You got to move into a different direction. I don't know what that's supposed to be. But it's the same level of frustration that I'm dealing with when it comes to like trying to find another job in the software world. It just, when you're just, it's just, you're up against obstacle after obstacle, and you're just, like I said yesterday, you're banging your head against a brick wall trying to get through, and all you're going to get at the end of the day is a fucking headache. So what are you going to do? You got to find a different way to go. But anyway, it was cold today. But today when I left, the wind hadn't changed direction and it was still strong. And now I'm like, booyah! I'm going to have a tailwind pushing me all the way home. Can't ask for a better ride home. And so I thought it was going to be great. And when I got out on the road, I was hauling ass. I was flying down the road. But turns out every 5 minutes, for at least the first 45 minutes, I swear, every 5 minutes I had to pull over on the bike and fix something. Not a flat tire, not anything crazy. A lot of it had to do with my speakers flaking out, so my music kept cutting out, and I was having problems with the speakers. I couldn't even listen to 2 songs without having to pull over and restart the whole system, the sound system, because the speakers were flaking out. And I just didn't have time to sit and mess with it. Like, you know, you gotta get, this day and age, you know, back in the day when you used to plug shit in with wires, and just, you know, shit just worked back in the day. But now that we have technology that's supposed to make our lives better, Bluetooth, you don't need wires. Well, now the shit doesn't work, and you gotta have a degree in computer science to be able to fix all this shit when it falls apart. And so the speakers were flaking out. I had to pull over. Finally, I said, fuck it, and I turned off one of the speakers and just had the handlebar speaker turned on, and it didn't flake out. The problem had to do with both speakers playing simultaneously, and just the phone, whatever. I don't know what the problem is. I haven't looked into it deeply today yet, but and I don't got time really tonight. I'm gonna do a factory reset on the one speaker, and just be careful when I tape it to the when I Velcro it down on the bike frame. I'm gonna make sure that I'm not accidentally like pushing a button. Like maybe when I go over a bump, the bottle cage pushes a button or something. I don't know. I don't really know what's going on with it. I didn't have time to figure it out today. Bike is a little out of whack today from the rain the other day. My chain is bone dry, so I've got to put some wax on the chain. I've got liquid wax that I can use to get that lubricated. Shifting was a little bit garbage today. And then as I'm riding along, the freaking cell phone mount that you saw in the video a couple days ago, That thing is solid. That's meant for a motorcycle. Um, it just randomly loosened up on its own. Just like completely just. I've had this thing on the bike for hundreds of miles, and this thing is secure. I mean, it's tight and it doesn't move, and the phone stays exactly where you want it to go, and it's the articulating arms are locked and it doesn't move. All of a sudden the thing just flopped around and like it just magically loosened up on its own like that, literally in the snap of a finger. The phone is so securely clamped in the clamp part, and it's tightened down, so it didn't, like, there was nothing to worry about with the phone. But luckily I carry the special tool with me to tighten it down. I had to pull over and just tighten the thing back down in all the joints, and I'm like, what the hell? I guess, just the road vibrations, the constant, over time, maybe it just loosened up over time and finally just said, I'm done. But that was just another sign. Man, I got to do some touch-ups tonight. I got to lube my chain. I got to spritz some little tri-flow in the shift cable for the rear derailleur and just see if I can get the shifting to last me another 40 miles, 80 miles, my bad. I got 2 more days of this shit in a row, tomorrow and Saturday, and they're going to be worse. It's going to be worse tomorrow and Saturday than it was today. I'm not looking forward to it. I get to go in a little bit later tomorrow, but I got to stay later. It'll be dark when I get home, possibly. I don't even know. I know Sunday, I would like to do other things, but I got to make Sunday church day, number one. I found there's 2 churches so far that I've found within walking distance of here. One is a Lutheran church, but it looks a little bit too pomp and ceremonial. It looks too much like a Catholic church with all the robes and the freaking weird shit that they do. And I hate Catholic church so much. And the other church is in a strip mall. It's a strip mall church. So I think I'm going to walk over to the strip mall church and see what's going on there. I feel like there's going to be more Jesus at the strip mall church than in this pomp and formal Lutheran church. I mean, Lutheran's probably better than the Catholics because Martin Luther was the one who went and nailed his thesis to the door and said, we're done with all your Catholic bullshit, and then, started the whole Catholic versus Protestant wars that have been going on for centuries. But it's probably better than a Catholic church, but I don't know. It's probably like one notch above. I was looking at the website and I'm like, no, this ain't my scene. So strip mall church it is. We'll see how it goes. And then I got to do bicycle maintenance day. I've got to do a serious tune-up on the Red Rocket, clean and tune, and do as much as I can, but I'm very hesitant to really strip the bike down when I have to use it. I'm going to have to ride it again 40 miles on Monday, so I don't want to get into a situation where I can't put it back together because, oh fuck, I need some tool or something went wrong or whatever. I've got the backup bike, so I might take both bicycles and tune them up, get the backup bike tight, ride it around a little bit, go on a quick tour, make sure it's dialed in enough. Maybe I'll even ride it to work on Monday, take a risk, because I know my way now. I don't need to have the phone clamp on my handlebars telling me I know exactly how to get there and back now, no problem. The only thing I would be worried about with the new bike is flat tires, because it's skinny tire road bike, and I don't think those tires are reinforced. I mean, who knows? I have a spare tire in my backpack, so I'm not that worried about it, but the Red Rocket, those tires on the Red Rocket are beasts. I mean, the only thing that's going to give you a puncture is a nail that long like you saw the other day, but glass, I rode over some glass today. It didn't give a shit about the glass. A piece of glass isn't going to go through that tire and do that. The only thing that might do it is a nail or sometimes a thorn. Like when you're mountain biking, you might get a big long thorn going through your tire, but I don't know. But anyway, I'm kind of hesitant to just completely strip this bike down like it really needs, and do all the things it needs. So I'm thinking about, like, I just don't know how I'm going to do it. Time-wise, I have the time if I just do it on Sunday. But I don't want to get in a situation where I screw myself for Monday. And so I feel like I got to at least have the backup bike fully dialed in and test it out before I decide to strip the Red Rocket down and give it everything it needs. Just so I always have a way out and a way to work. The new bicycle shorts I showed you yesterday, those were great today. Really nice. They fit great. They're better than bicycle shorts. I like them a lot. This whole underwear style versus the full-on bicycle shorts, I think that's the way I'm rolling from now on. I think I'm going to pick up a few more pair when the money's a little bit better. There's some other cycling things that I need, and I just consider it to be transportation costs. You have a car payment, car insurance, gasoline, car repairs, all that stuff. I have a bicycle cost, clothing, accessories, repairs. I don't have insurance. I don't have a monthly payment. So it's whatever I need in order to make the bikes solid. Some months I don't spend anything. Some months I spend some money. So, but, once I get a car, my monthly budget becomes infinitely tighter. As soon as I'm going to get a car, I'll get some freedom, and then I'll have the freedom to be struggling to pay my bills even more than I am now. Because you have monthly car insurance payment, a monthly car payment, or you get a jalopy and you have a monthly mechanic payment. Which one do you want? Sometimes the car payment's better. Let's see. I don't know. I have, but I do have a garage to do the bike stuff in this weekend. If it's not nice outside, I'll just go over to the garage, work in the garage, and just do that. But yeah, in my accounting system, the cycling equipment is a category, and I lump it together with transportation. Probation wants to know, what did you spend on every category in the month? They really dig in, and they want to know what you're spending your money on and how much you're making. And so I'm like, well, for transportation, I just go over, I just lump together all my bicycle stuff as transportation costs. The probation officer knows I do that, and he's fine with it. Some people are reporting their car payments, their gasoline, their car mechanic expenses, etc. It's all bicycle stuff for me, and an occasional car rental. He knows how I get around town. So, the speakers, the random problems, man. The random problems I had today were just signs that, the fact that this phone mount, I've put hundreds of miles on this thing, and I've never had the thing budge, and then all of a sudden today it's flopping around all over the place, and I'm out of nowhere. It didn't even get kind of loose and soft. It just went from super tight to all over the place. None of these pullover stops on the way home today took more than a minute or two, but I'd have to take the backpack off and do something and put the backpack back on, and it was just irritating. And it was insane, because now I have the sun's out, it's a little bit warmer, I got the tailwind, I got a strong tailwind pushing me home, and I still have all these problems on the way home. I can't even have a nice ride home today. Roads that I could barely do 12 miles an hour on this morning, I'm doing 25 plus on my way home. That's how strong the wind was today. And even in spite of having to stop a bunch of times, I was home 10 minutes faster today than any other day that I've ridden home from work yet. In spite of all the dumb things I had to pull over and fix and fiddle with and mess with. And then, once again, the second day in a row, I got cut off by that fucking car that I keep seeing. If you've been watching these videos, you know about the car that I keep running into. And it's like I keep saying, it's not like I just see it. Oh, there's that car over there. The car is right in front of me, like almost get run over by the fucking thing over and over and over again. And it happened again today. I got cut off by that car. Someone driving that exact same fucking car cut me off. We got into a screaming and shouting match, got into a road rage fight, and I gave this bitch the middle fingers and went on my merry way. But I'm just like, what the fuck, man? Like, if you've been watching these videos, I've been talking about these crazy encounters with this stupid fucking car. Honestly, I haven't had that happen for weeks. And then one day I'm walking back from Target and I took one step into the crosswalk and this fucking car cut me off and almost hit me. Then yesterday I'm walking across the parking lot in Target and one of them went out of its way to come over to where I was and cut right across my path. And then as I leave Target, another one, same fucking car, different driver, cuts me off again as I'm about to turn and walk a certain direction. Cuts right in front of me and blocks me. And I'm like, why? What I keep asking God, what is he telling? Like, what is the message I'm supposed to get from this car? And I don't understand it. And today, like I said, I got into a road rage fight with this fucking bitch who cut me off, driving the same fucking car. And we started screaming and yelling at each other. I told her to go choke on a fucking dick. She probably did. Whatever. And that just reminds me, people are asking me in the comments what do I like and dislike about Texas. And so far, I can't, I don't want to have an opinion about Houston right now based on my experience so far, because being a broke ass nobody who lives in a dumpy ass tiny house after, being homeless for 6 months or whatever, and just getting out of prison and all, like, I'm not getting the Houston experience. Right? I'm just struggling to survive right now. So I'm not going to be... Anywhere I live in America is going to suck balls in my situation right now. So what opinion do I have of Houston? I can't. I can't judge Houston based on being a broke-ass loser, in a fucking place where I'm barely just struggling to survive on my illustrious $25,000 a year pace that I'm, making for trying to live off of that. And so people ask me what I like and dislike. I can say this. I like the weather. And give it a thumbs up. Overall, the cold days suck no matter where you are. But here in Houston, they are more of the exception than the norm. It's not like going to Jamestown where it's 20 degrees down to 6 below zero for 2 months in a row, and then, we got a 60-degree day. It's more like the opposite. It's 83 degrees for 2 weeks, and then, oh crap, it's like 40 degrees for a few days. Oh, we're back to 70 now. Woo, thank God. So that's cool. I'm glad I'm doing winter here in Houston and not doing winter up in freaking Jamestown. That would have been a nightmare. Pittsburgh would have been bad too, but Pittsburgh is generally 10 to 15 degrees warmer than Jamestown. most any given day, you can pretty much bet that there's a 10-degree boost by going to Pittsburgh. And it's a little bit more mild, but that would still suck. Oh man, it would still suck. Everything would be covered in ice and snow. If I had to travel by bicycle, it would be a mountain bike. It wouldn't be a road bike. And it would suck. And I would have to dress in like 8 layers. I'd have to spend $1,000 in clothing just to be able to do it. But if you ask me what I dislike about Texas, I can tell you 100% for sure. I absolutely despise the drivers and the people in the cars on the road in Houston. Fucking hate you people. I fucking hate you people. Hate. Hate isn't even a strong enough word. I don't even know what word would fit the level of hatred I have for you fucking people. I've biked and I've driven and walked all over America. All over America. East Coast to West Coast, North to South. I've been everywhere. And Houston is by far like a whole nother fucking level. I'm talking like 20 levels worse than the worst thing I've ever seen in terms of hostility and bad drivers. It's unbelievable. Like, my mind is blown. Like, I've rode my bicycle all over New York City, all over Boston, all over Washington, D.C., Pittsburgh, all over Pittsburgh all the time, Philadelphia, Miami, St. Louis. I mean, I could talk about all the cities. Buffalo, New York, Rochester, New York, Syracuse, New York. Let's see, I can't even, like, my mind can't think of any fucking big city. San Francisco. I'm trying to think of other places, but even just random cities like Charlotte, North Carolina, Raleigh, Asheville, places like that. Like, I've been everywhere. And the fucking drivers in Houston are so batshit crazy and fucking assholes. To the likes, I have never seen anything like this anywhere I've ever been. It's bad here. Bad. Unfucking believable bad. Like a whole nother level. And it's bringing out the worst in me on my bicycle, that's for sure. Like I said, I've been biking since I was my mom used to let me ride my bicycle to school when I was in 3rd grade. And that was a 6-mile ride each way. I've been riding my fucking bicycle all over hell's creation since I was a little kid. And I'm 49 years old and I've never seen anything like this shit. Ever. I mean, the drivers in Houston are the worst pieces of human shit on the road I've ever seen in my life. And I cannot fucking... Let's see. Wow, man. It's probably a good thing that I'm not allowed to carry a pistol anymore, because I honestly think I would have pulled my gat on somebody by now. That's how fucking hostile it is here to ride a bicycle. I mean, it's fucking crazy. Driving is absolutely crazy here. Crazy. And I'm not the only one who agrees with me on this. Do a Google search. You'll find out. I talk to people all the time. Everybody agrees with me. They're like, yeah, this place is fucking nuts. Like, the roads here are just insane. Like, oh boy. The only place I've ever been that's worse than here was Puerto Rico. I'm trying to think of every place I've ever driven. I've driven all over Puerto Rico, and that's a whole nother level above Houston. That's even crazier. That's a whole nother level, but it's basically another country. It's part of the United States technically, but it's really not, and it's its own thing. And that place is way crazier than even Houston. But in the United States, Alaska, I've been all over Alaska. Like, I'm trying to think of, I've been all over the United States, all over the fucking country, and nothing has even lit nothing could even remotely compete. If it was the Indianapolis 500 of bad drivers, the bad drivers of Houston would have lapped the rest of the field 8 times before the end of the fucking race. That's how far ahead you douchebags are in the world of bad driving. It's unfucking believable. Unbelievable. The dumb shit and the douchebaggery that I see all the time here. It's like fucking blows my mind. Every time I go out there and see it, I'm just blown. Whether I'm walking somewhere, whether I'm driving, whether I'm a passenger, or whether I'm riding my bicycle, I'm just like, holy fuck, this place is crazy. Like, holy fuck, I've seen it all, and then I realize I haven't seen shit. Not till I got here. It's that bad. It's that bad. So, I think that was a long-winded way to say, I like the weather, I hate the drivers, I hate the roads here, and I hate the fucking people in their vehicles. Despise them. Despise them. If I was Darth Vader and I had powers like that, I would throw you motherfuckers in the ditch, left and right. The whole city of Houston would just be piles of cars in the ditch, because I'd be like, you, gone. You, out of here. You, oh, you, I'm going to hold you up and choke you for a bit, and then you're fucking gone. That's what it would be. So thank God, Jesus didn't give me those powers, because I would totally abuse them. But, like I said, if I had a pistol permit, or I could carry, that shit would have come out by now. There's no fucking way it wouldn't have by now. The encounters that I've had are so fucking crazy with these people. But, had the FBI not driven a tank into my home, I wouldn't be here to know how crazy it is and how horrible the people are on the roads here. But those are the two things I can say, good and bad, about Houston. For sure. I don't, like, those are set. Like, those are weather good, drivers bad. Drivers are the absolute worst scumbags I've ever seen on the roads, period. Fuck, man, there's no place I've been in America who has worse people on the road than Houston. Nobody else can compete with this shit. It's fucking crazy. Like I said, it's a screaming match every day. Today I screamed at the top of my lungs to at least 8 people on the way home, because they're honking their horns, screaming out the fucking window at me, swerving into me, trying to run me off the fucking road. Like, you have to be. I had to bang on some fucking cunt's car because she was trying to force me into a fucking ditch. And I'm like, you fucking cunt, get the fuck away from me. Like, I had to bang on her fucking car. Like, I am gonna start putting the camera back on my helmet, I think. I got so much other shit going on. Oh my God, you guys would have got some good video in the last week, that's for sure, with these 20-mile out and back rides. And I'm an extremely, extremely aggressive cyclist. Like, I don't give a fuck. I do not give a fuck. I got zero fear at all when I'm on that bicycle. And the more angry that you make me with your ridiculous bullshit and your aggression and trying to run me off the road and honking your horn and screaming out the fucking window and throwing shit at me, you're just gonna make it so that I make your ride home worse than it already was. I will be a fucking dick to the end of the day. Like, if we're gonna see who can out dickhead each other, who the fuck you think you are? You're gonna beat the guy who went to federal prison for being an internet troll? You're gonna win that dickhead contest? You're not gonna fucking win. So, I'm just saying, man. You wanna run into me and go to prison for slamming into a cyclist? I'll take a lump to get a lump payout. I'll get a lump sum for a lump on my head, that's for sure. I could use the money right now, that's for sure. I don't got it. Go for it. Go for it, motherfucker. When I was in high school, I got hit head on by senile old lady driving 45 miles an hour, and I was going 45 miles an hour myself, and it was a head-on collision, so the combined speed was like a 90-mile-an-hour crash. I flew 30 feet over the fucking car and landed in a ditch on the side of the road, and as soon as I hit the ground, I jumped up and ran back to the car and started banging on her fucking window like I was gonna rip the bitch out of the fucking car, but then the cops and the ambulances and stuff showed up before I could. The adrenaline, it's like you get the adrenaline just, it kicks in. When you get hit by a car in a 90-mile-an-hour crash and fly 30 feet through the air like you're fucking Superman, you're going to have a little bit of adrenaline going on, and you're going to be, and it was totally her fault. She was banned from ever driving a car again. She was like 90 fucking years old, pretty much legally blind, just swerving all over the fucking road and slammed right into me because she cut right across my path and boom, there was nothing I could do. I mean, she was on one side of the road and then all of a sudden she swerved right into me, swerved right across the road and bam, right into me. I could barely get my fingers on the brake levers. My bike was folded in half. My front wheel and back wheel were together. The bike was it was like a taco. It was folded like a taco when it happened. I was just lucky enough to land in the grass, and I slid across, and it was muddy, and it was soft, and I hit on my back shoulder and slid, and I just jumped right up. Because I didn't get had a big streak of mud going down the side and probably some scrapes on my arm, but I jumped right up and I ran to this bitch. I wasn't even wearing a helmet that day. And I ran to this bitch. I was gonna smash her fucking window in and pull her right out of the fucking car. There were these people on a porch across the road. They saw the whole thing. And when they saw me get hit, they jumped on the phone and called 911, and the one guy was laughing at me because after the police and the ambulances came and after the whole scene, I was talking to the people on the porch, and the dude looks at me and he's like, I called 911 because I thought someone just got killed right in front of me, right out in front of the house. And he goes, and then I'm telling the dispatcher, wait a minute, no, I think I'm about to see someone get killed right in front of my house if you don't get here within the next minute. Because he said he thought I died when I flew through the air like that and hit the ground. And then when I went running to the bitch's car to pull her out, he thought I was so out of my mind, crazy when it happened. He thought I was gonna pull her out. I might have. I don't know. I don't know. You get hit like that by a fucking senile old bitch who's legally blind, who shouldn't have even been driving in the first place. And who knows what you'll do, man. You don't know what you'll do until it happens. But anyway, I've been through some shit. And so I just have no fear at all. And the thing is, when it comes to bicycling, the more you have to be aggressive as a cyclist to be, and especially in a place like this where the drivers are so fucking crazy, like even Manhattan, cities, places like that, you have to assert your position. You have to, I don't care, go ahead, honk your fucking horn, get mad, call me a faggot, whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do. But I'm going to take that fucking lane. I'm going to make sure that you have to go around me. The more aggressive you are as a cyclist, the safer you are on the road. The more that you force people to slow down for you and to, just letting them know, I'm in this lane, bitch. You go around me when it's safe to pass. The same as if there was a farm tractor in front of you or anything else in front of you that you would have to slow down for. And sometimes I go faster than you, and sometimes I can keep up with it. Sometimes there's a wide shoulder and I can move over and be safe. But there's one road in particular on my way home, two roads actually, where a lot of the roads in Texas have these sewer grates that go down into the, like, you don't want to get your wheel caught in that shit. Your front wheel hits one of those sewer grates, you're going over the handlebars, you're sprawled out across the road, and you're getting run over by a car. So I've got to stay far enough out into the lane to not hit a sewer grate. And they're like every 50 yards or so. And so if you're a timid bicyclist who tries to hug the curb because there's no shoulder. So if you try to hug the curb and there's a sewer grate coming up on you and you've got to go around the sewer grate, well, now you're darting out into traffic. And so somebody might be trying to blow past you at 75 miles an hour, and you're going to now have to cut in front of that person to go around the sewer grate, and you're going to get hit. But if you just say, fuck it, the sewer grates come out to here, I'm going to ride here, that way I never have to worry about a sewer grate, and you just say, that's where I am. This asshole going 75 miles an hour behind you is going to see you. He's going to see you. He's going to have to slow down, and it's going to piss him off, especially if he's driving a Dodge Ram that's lifted 6 feet higher than it was when he bought it. You know, a turbo diesel that blows black smoke out the back every time he puts his foot on the gas. Those are the ones that get the angriest. You know, every time you see that guy, you know, but the funny thing is they have to wait. They have to go around you. They have to wait until the left lane is, you know, the opposite traffic or whatever is clear. And they just don't like that. Everybody's like, it's my road. It's not your road. Well, fuck you. It's my road too. So fuck off. And if you want to get into it, and then if you're going to be a dick and start honking your horn, well, guess what? I'm going to go from trying to be as far to the right as I can and at least give you some room to pass. Now I'm going to be like, fuck it, bitch. I'm in the middle of the lane. Now I'm a car just like you, and you can go choke on a fucking dick for all I care. Go ahead, honk your fucking horn, come up 6 inches from my back wheel, screaming your hillbilly bullshit, your hillbilly Texas retarded ass bullshit, scream and yell, do whatever the fuck you want. I'm not getting out of your fucking way. In fact, I'm going to make it so that you can't pass me, and you're going to follow me for the next 2 or 3 miles going 25 miles an hour, you dumb piece of shit. When if you just be a little bit patient, you just wait until you got enough space to go around me. So I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck, especially to these dickheads here, how hostile they are. You think you're going to out dickhead me? You got a fucking another thing coming. But yeah, I'm the guy on the bicycle. So if a bicycle and a Dodge Ram with a 6-foot lift kit collide, I mean, we all know who's going to win in that situation, but I don't give a fuck. And that's what keeps me safe on the road. That's what keeps me safe on the road. That's why I don't really have encounters with, like, that. If you're timid and you hug the side of the road, these fucking cocksuckers will run you off the road into the fucking ditch. Like, because they're still going to be aggressive with you, and they're still going to be hostile towards you for the simple fact that you're on their precious road. They don't want you on the road at all. So the way that you get around that and keep yourself safe is you not only be on the road, you be on the fucking road. You be in it. You be in it and make them go around you. And make them know, like, you don't give a fuck. Just let them know you don't give a fuck. Do what you want. Honk your horn all fucking day, because 999 times out of 1,000, they're not going to do anything aggressive other than throw temper tantrums and bang on the horn and scream and yell and sometimes throw shit at you. Because they know, if I hit this guy, I'm going to prison. So that will keep them in line to an extent. But yeah, that was a long-winded way to say, like the weather, hate the drivers. Boom, we're done. So I said I was going to answer emails or respond. I get the comments in my email box. When you leave a comment, I get an email. So that's why I'm referring to them as emails. But I haven't had time to respond to a lot of comments, and I know this video is getting kind of long. But I'm just going to respond to one. It's this guy, Daniel Fiore, 5528. He says, how are you not making your own coffee? Buy a pour-over cone. Make cowboy coffee. All I need is hot water and some coffee grounds in a container. I hate to see you overpaying for weak iced coffee. Plus, the time and energy you're wasting. Okay. So this guy must have went to the Susie Orman School of Economics, where he learned that the reason that you're poor is because you bought Starbucks to drink. That's her big thing, right? Every time somebody calls in and they're having money problems, she's like, well, that's because you drank too many Starbucks coffees. If you had just stopped drinking Starbucks, you'd be rich like me, and you'd be able to buy ugly leather outfits where I have to slaughter a whole cow every time I'm on a TV show because I need a whole new leather outfit for myself. No, that's not why you're broke. You're poor and broke because these cocksuckers in the government. Look at your fucking paycheck, number one. Take a look at your paycheck and look at that part where it says federal income tax, Social Security, and all this other bullshit. Look at how much they're taking from you so that they can donate $27 trillion to study the mating habits of transgender squirrels in Siberia or some shit like that. It's like, can't the Russians fund their own study about the transgender squirrels in Siberia? Why the fuck do we gotta pay for that? That's why so many people are fucking broke right now. It's not because you went to fucking Starbucks or had some good coffee. So Target had the concentrated bottles. Now, this ghetto-ass Target sucks. The reason I bought 4 of these bottles is because the price tag under the bottle said that they were like $3 and something cents. But then I'm looking at my receipt when I just earlier today when I'm doing my accounting, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? They're $6.39 each, but that fucking Target is so retarded. Like, you can't trust any of the price tags, and 3/4 of the stuff in the store doesn't even have a price tag. But I went on the website and I saw, oh yeah, they are $6.39 each, and the regular cold brew bottles that aren't concentrated are $3.99 each, and I get about 2 days out of that, so $2 a day. So let's say that we'll go to the 639 concentrated. It's 32 ounces, which blows up to 64 ounces when you add the water. That's a half gallon. That's 639 for a half gallon. Okay. Now, right now, the 8-ounce bag of coffee is going for $8 in the Joe Biden, in Bidenomics right now. An 8-ounce bag of coffee at the grocery store is about $8. Okay, so 4 ounces out of that makes a half gallon of cold brew. And that would bring my cost down to $4 for a half gallon instead of $6.39 for a half gallon. So if I made my own coffee, I would save $2 on a half gallon, which, okay, fine. But I go through a half gallon in about 2.5 days. So that would be, I would save $4 on a 5-day supply of coffee. But I need to get 2 half-gallon mason jars, some insert filters that go in those jars, and some pour spouts, and that's going to cost a little bit of money on Amazon. And right now, my refrigerator, the refrigerator that's supposedly large enough for somebody in Europe to live with, it's not big enough to hold a half-gallon mason jar. It's not, the jar won't fit in that fridge. It's too small. That fridge is only big enough for someone who lives in Europe. And for a minute, because I read your comment this morning at some point, I don't know when or where. I thought I saw the word percolator in your, cause I guess I saw cowboy coffee and blah, blah, blah. I thought I saw the word percolator in your email, and I was laughing my ass off because I'm like, well, you obviously, if you put the word percolator and coffee in the same sentence, then you don't know shit about coffee. But you didn't, so I'll take that back. Cowboy coffee is actually fine. I mean, I keep telling everybody myself, if you watched a lot of my videos, I am literally half hillbilly and half hipster. And so being half hipster, I do have a French press from REI. It's over in my camping equipment there. It's a stainless steel French press. But I would have to boil water and get a teapot for that. A French press is the best way to do hot coffee, generally speaking. If you're going to drink it hot, use a French press. It's the best way. It's the easiest way. Really, the only worse way to brew coffee, aside from these stupid Keurig machines, I fucking hate those things. They're not only, the tree hugger in me is about to come out, because not only do those stupid little coffee cups pollute the environment like fucking crazy, one little fucking cup for every cup of coffee you drink, and you're just tossing these things like, I'm sure whales and dolphins are choking on these fucking things just so you can have one fucking cup of shitty coffee. And it's shitty coffee. It's the worst way to brew coffee, except a percolator. A percolator, oh my god, man. Coffee in a percolator, you may as well... I'm trying to think of the equivalent. It's like drinking coffee out of a percolator is like having a grilled cheese sandwich that you grilled so much that it's just burnt all the way through to where the cheese inside the sandwich turned black. That's what you're doing to your coffee if you brew it with a percolator. An automatic drip machine is better than a percolator. And like that dude said, a cone filter, like a Chemex pitcher, where you have a cone filter inside and you just pour hot water over coffee and have it drip down into the bottom, which is almost the same as an automatic drip coffee maker. Like, that is a step up from a percolator. Vomit is a step up from drinking coffee out of a percolator. I can barely stomach drinking coffee out of a percolator. I'll choke it down. I'll do what I gotta do. And I guess, maybe the other worst coffee I've ever had is when you're in prison, you get freeze-dried coffee packs that come from the prison commissary industry companies. You can't even buy this shit in the stores. It's so bad. That was some pretty bad coffee. But, you do what you gotta do. But anyway, you did make a comment about my weak-ass iced coffee. And so it does show that you don't know a lot about coffee, because cold brew coffee, which is not iced coffee, is way stronger than hot brewed coffee. It's way stronger. And properly made iced coffee is just hot brewed coffee that is immediately poured over ice after it's been brewed. And the proper way to make iced coffee is to either keep the ice in a plastic bag or some sort of container, so that when the ice melts, the water doesn't dilute the coffee as you're pouring it over the ice. Or the other thing you can do is brew the coffee twice as strong with twice as much coffee grounds as you would normally use per the water that you're brewing it with, so that when it melts the ice, the water from the ice dilutes the coffee down to the proper ratio of coffee to water. But that gets a little tricky, and you got to work on your system for that. But cold brew is way better. It tastes better. When you brew coffee hot, it's very acidic, and different flavors come out of the beans with hot water than cold water. The way you do cold brew is how I roll. I don't like hot coffee anymore. Even in the winter, I always drink cold coffee. But cold brew, it's simple. Everybody acts like, he's Mr. Fancy Pants. He's drinking his cold brew. Well, cold brew is fucking easy. You dump 4 ounces of coarse ground coffee, or bagged coffee works. You're just going to end up with more sediment, into a half gallon of water. Boom. Put it in the fridge. for 14 to 24 hours, somewhere in that range. And then you just have to have a system of straining out the coffee grounds from the water after it's done brewing. And so I could give you 20 different ways to do it. To be honest, I just had a good system that I liked, and I would do 3 gallons at a time at my old house before the FBI drove a tank into it. I would make 3 gallons at a time. I had 6 half-gallon mason jars with insert filters that made it easy. I had it down to where it would take me 10 minutes to do the prep to get the brew in the fridge, and about 15 minutes after it was brewed to get it all filtered and poured into glass milk bottles for storage. And so I would do this with coffee and tea. And so I usually brewed 6 to 8 different varieties of tea. I had coffee and I had to put the labels on the milk bottle caps so that I knew which, other than looking at the color of the tea, but like I would have black tea, Earl Grey, Rooibos tea. I would have chai tea so I could make some iced chai. I would have maybe 4 or 5 different other random teas that looks good, I'll grab a bag of that. And this and that. Green tea, I had a lot of green tea. And so I had lots of different teas in the fridge. And all I really drink is water, coffee, and tea. I don't like pop anymore. So I had a backup fridge at my old crib full of tea and coffee. That was pretty much the drink fridge. Even like people would come over to my house. My ex would come over and she would freely take coffee and tea back to her place and bring the empty bottles back for recycling. Because I had so much of it, people could just take it and bring back the bottles when you're done. And I had I had been getting these this milk that comes in glass bottles for so long that I would never return the bottles to get my deposit back. I would just collect the bottles and reuse them over and over again. Because then I'm paying like $1.50 for a glass bottle because I decided to keep it. So I had a fridge full of these things, full of tea and coffee at all times. Like, there was just, what tea do you want? Well, I got green tea, black tea, Earl Grey, Rooibos tea. I've got chai, and I've got like 5 or 6 other random concoctions. I don't even know. What do you want? So, and I would buy my coffee in bulk from Amazon. Typically, Amazon has their own brands. I had a nice coffee grinder, and so I would buy whole bean coffee in bags, 2-pound bags. I would buy a case. I would buy up to 30 pounds of coffee at a time and keep it in my pantry so that I could get it at the lowest price possible. And in my system, the amount of coffee that I drank and everything was kind of on a rhythm, so I knew how much a pound of coffee was going to last. A pound being 16 ounces, 4 ounces per half gallon, so that's 2 gallons of coffee for a pound, a 1-pound bag. And so I could get my half gallons of coffee down to pretty damn cheap because I was buying it in such bulk. And then I would have at least a 6-month supply of coffee every time I'd restock. I'd get my stock about half down, I'd re-up. And I'd try to make it, one thing about cold brew too, I've taken some coffee that's old as dirt and thrown it in the cold brew filter and brewed that shit. Comes out great. So you can take coffee that's like 3 years past the date, and especially if you never opened the bag and you just had it sitting in your cabinet for years. Sometimes I would get gourmet beans. There was a place down in the Strip District in Pittsburgh called Presto George. They roast the coffee right in front of you. They've got roasters going all day long, these antique old roasters, and they've got like 50 different types of coffee, all bagged in brown paper bags. That's how they make their own coffee. They roast their own shit. And so I could walk in there and I'd be like, what's the freshest bag of coffee off the roaster you got today? And they'd be like, this one. Hold it up to my face. It's still warm. It's like a nice warm pillow. Ooh, wow, I'm getting this. And then they're all, you buy a pound of coffee from them and they're going to be like, how do you want it ground? Like they'll tell you, you know, what coarseness do you want? They'll grind it for you if you want them to grind it for you. And then I might bring some gourmet coffee home and do some cold brew with that. And, you know, you get different flavors from different coffees, but I usually would get the 8 o'clock coffee or the Amazon brand. Anything with Arabica beans versus Robusta beans is going to be the way to go. Robusta, that's what they used to put in like Folgers and all that ghetto-ass diner coffee that you used to drink when you were a kid that grandma would brew in the morning. Like, nothing wakes you up like Folgers in your cup. Ugh, fuck that shit. Arabica beans, that's why Starbucks took the fuck off, because most people in America were drinking these garbage-ass Robusta bean coffees all the time. And then Starbucks came out and they started using Arabica beans, and people are like, wow, that tastes so good. All it was the bean. And now when you go and you buy Folgers and some of these shit coffee brands, they actually have to use Arabica beans in the crap coffee now, because no one wants to buy it if it's Robusta beans. But that's why old-ass diner coffee tastes so rank. It's because the beans that they use aren't the same, and it's not good beans. It's ghetto beans. So, yeah, anyway, aside from all that, because of the switch to the concentrate pre-bottled coffee, which is what I'm doing for now until I get my coffee game a little stronger. Now, because I can store coffee at room temperature and just pour it out when I want to drink it, now I can store half and half and milk in my fridge, and now I can go back to making my own creamers instead of buying these pre-made store-bought creamers. And so, but I need to get a wire whisk, I need to get a big bowl, and I need to get a measuring cup, a decent measuring cup for that. And I also need some measuring spoons and measuring cups for the flavorings and the extracts that go into those concoctions. And so, but needless to say, man, my coffee game is strong. My coffee game is strong. I could be a barista at Starbucks, but they won't hire me, number one, because I have a criminal record, and number two, because I'm not gay. You can't be a guy working at Starbucks if you're straight. We all know that. So, but anyway, let's see more comments in the videos. Christopher John 611 says, I take my coffee very seriously, and yes, I drink cold brew in the summer. Yeah. So I'm sure Christopher John can appreciate my long-winded rant about proper coffee that I went on today. And nothing beats a cold brew in the summer when you're waking up in the morning, but I don't even care anymore. I drink it all year long. I just don't like hot coffee anymore. I mean, I don't hate it. I mean, you know, sometimes you got to drink the swill just to get through the day. It's just like an alcoholic, you know, sometimes an alcoholic has to drink, you know, Schlitz or Miller High Life or something like that just to get through his day, even though he would normally want to drink, you know, some good IPAs or something like that, you know. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. Let's see. Username at Shell S4D said, I wish God was more direct and had a voice like a human that we could all hear. I do too, man. I really do too, because sometimes the subtle, even though he's always throwing up signs and wonders in front of me, I'm just like, couldn't you just come out of a cloud and talk to me like you did with Moses and what? But then again, if he did that, you'd probably die. Remember like the tabernacle, and there was this back room of the tabernacle where only the high priest could go and see God. But even when he went in there to go talk to God, they would tie a rope around his leg because they didn't know if he was actually going to come out or not, because God might just kill him if he said the wrong thing, if he looked at the altar the wrong way, if he brought wasn't there I think he brought the wrong incense one time, and God was like, fuck you, bah, you're done. Killed the priest because the priest brought cheap incense, and God was like, no, I only want the best. So yeah, I don't know if it would be a good idea if God could actually talk to me. She says, I'm glad you're safe. I love cycling, but pretty scary traveling off paths. Yeah, I mean, it is. I guess for me, it was my main form of transportation when I went to art school. And so when I moved to Pittsburgh, when I was 18 years old, I was riding my bicycle everywhere. And at the time, Pittsburgh was pretty crazy. Not like Houston crazy, but it was pretty crazy. And they didn't have bicycle infrastructure back then. Now the city of Pittsburgh is kind of like the East Coast. I don't want to call it the coast, but it's the eastern side of the country's version of Portland when it comes to like cycling. They're trying to become like the east of the Mississippi, Portland, because they're building all this bike infrastructure and bicycle paths, and there's advocacy groups, and it's come a long way. You can actually do some serious traveling around Pittsburgh on a bicycle and be sheltered from the cars. And there's other cities that are embracing this philosophy. And one thing about Europe that's actually better than America, especially Holland, Amsterdam, places like that, they really do it right when it comes to highway design and cycling and all that kind of stuff. They really know how to build roads and how to actually design things properly in some of those European cities. Here in America, you ain't got a car, you ain't shit. Like, these people in Texas, they're so fucking lazy that they will drive to go to their next door neighbor's house. They won't fucking walk to the house next door. They'll get in the fucking Dodge Ram that you need a ladder to climb up into. Big black cloud of fucking smoke coming out the back just to go to the driveway next door. These fucking dumb, lazy hillbillies. That's how they do it. Let's see. I got an Android from Walmart about 3 years ago. Spent a little over $100 on an Android because when it went cheaper, it was awful. Phone was junk. Yeah, I agree with that. That's basically the Obama phone I got. If I went to like get one of these cheap ass prepaid cell phone things, I would end up with the same phone as my Obama phone over here, and it's trash. You can barely do anything. I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now, shooting these videos every day with an Obama phone, that's for sure. I auto pay $50 a month for Verizon, no limits on data. I did it this way because I don't like contracts and my monthly bill is cheaper. I might check out Verizon. I had to have AT&T at my last house when the feds came and busted up my house. I was on AT&T for years, and it was solely because AT&T was the only phone company you could get a signal with at my house. Ironically, it was a really strong 5 bars, like super fast internet signal. But anybody that ever came over to my house with T-Mobile or Verizon couldn't even make phone calls, couldn't even get text messages to go through because there was no signal at all. But for some reason, AT&T had my whole area covered. So to live in my neighborhood, you could only use AT&T, or you would just be going batshit crazy, not able to use your phone. Anyway, she said no problems with phone or service from Verizon. I didn't like AT&T either, and neither did I. I mean, anytime you got to call customer service, whether it's AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, they all suck. They all treat you like dog shit. You're going to go talk to Ranjit, Tikka Masala over in Bangalore, India. You're not going to actually talk to someone who can fix your problem or speaks English. The only thing that I can suggest in those situations is if these companies have an online chat where you don't have to call and you can actually just sit at the computer and chat with them. It's a little bit better that way because at least you can read what they're saying to you. So when they type bad English instead of speaking bad English, you can at least decipher what they're trying to tell you. But that's about as good. That's about as good. They're still not going to fix your problem, but at least you'll understand what they're saying. She says also, cheers to the stock on cold brew. Coffee is life. And I would just like to say, yeah, I totally agree with that. Coffee is life. Well, actually, water is life. That's why I had to get a good water filter. And you can't have coffee without water. So, but coffee is definitely life. It's what gets life going in the morning, but it's the water that is life. It's the coffee that gets life moving. So with that, I'm just going to say peace out. This video is long, but the super fans, you all like to watch the long ones. I watch long podcasts all the time, so who cares? YouTube's going to bash me on the algorithm again, probably, but whatever. We'll talk again, and to that, I'm going to say peace out.